Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon when you are watching this video lecture. In the earlier sessions related to the determination of employee cost or labor cost, which is one of the elements of costs, we discussed about how to compute the labor cost on the basis of the information that was given in the question. Those are generic questions. Of course, with some implications like idle time, overtime, and their treatment in the cost accounts. Also, we discussed some of the incentive schemes or plans. Most importantly, the Halsey and Rowan plan and how to apply the formula related to the Halsey and Rowan plan in major problems. Some of them we discussed, and you have done some of the problems related to application of those premium bonus plans. Of course, you will have to do more problems and practice more on that, because as I told already, that is the core area of this particular chapter. Ultimately, the major chances of a question will be definitely the application of wage payment systems or incentive systems. Though there are possibilities of general questions with overtime and idle time being asked, there is possibility. Same way, there is a possibility of questions being asked from the topic of labor turnover. But major chunk of the questions, if we observe the past papers, will be definitely from Halsey and Rowan. So that is the reason we should be very thorough with not only the just formulae of them, and also with the application of those two formulae under various circumstances. Formulae are simple, but how we apply them in various circumstances, that matters, and that's what we tried to do in the task that was recently done by you. And there will be some questions also which will be given to you, which have to be completed before we move on to the next topic of labor turnover and solve problems on that topic in this chapter. But prior to that, let us quickly go through some of the aspects which are there after the Halsey and Rowan plan are interpreted well. There are certain other general things we can say which are here. Like what? What are these elements of wages? Elements of wages could be not necessarily monetary items. There is a possibility of non-monetary items also that we should identify. This can be a question. What could be the non-monetary benefits that a person may get? Monetary payment, of course, yes. That is what we generally call as wages. But in addition to the general wages, as far as the company, organization is concerned, that will incur more costs towards an employee than just the monetary payments that it does to the employees. What are those more costs which are non-monetary benefits? Like, for example, medical facilities, educational and training facilities, recreational facilities, sports facilities. A lot of big companies, if at all you had a chance of visiting any of the big software company campuses in Gachibowli, you will be surprised to see the kind of sports facilities that they have. There will be a huge cricket ground and a basketball court, tennis courts, like that. So that is are all part of the benefits that the company provides to their employees. It costs to the company. As far as employee is concerned, it is a benefit, but for the company, it is a cost. It is also part of the total wages cost or employee cost that the company incurs on its own staff. Like that, there can be housing given, social welfare contributions can be done, like contribution to pension scheme, etc. And there will be possibility of subsidized canteens. A lot of companies will provide that, or sometimes they can even provide free meals or free snacks also. Like this, many facilities can be provided by employers to the employees. For employees, those are benefits. Popularly in taxation, we call them perquisites. Whereas For employer, it is all definitely part of the overall wages cost. So the elements of wages, the essence is to be understood as elements of wages include monetary as well as non-monetary payments by employer to employee. Monetary payments can be called as different names. They can be allowances, different names possible. Basic wages that can be called, that is the basic salary sometimes we can call. Like that there can be dearness allowance, overtime wages or any other special allowances can be given. Production bonus can be given sometimes. Employers' contribution to the provident fund can be there, which is also part of the cost to the company, CTC. Same way, employees' state insurance scheme premium might be paid by employer. That is also cost to the company. Same way, contribution to the pension fund on behalf of employee, also cost to the company. Leave pay or leave salary, popularly called earned leave, encashed, that is also cost to the company. Like this, many things will be there in the workers' remuneration. There may be so many of them. We are only just looking at some of the normally used words in the industries, which include some of them monetary and some of them non-monetary benefits which company gives to employees. But end of the day, from a costing point of view, definitely that is going to be a cost to the company. So in reality, in practice, a lot of times when you go to interviews or somewhere in future, these two words will be used. We should know them at least by their names. One is the cost to the company, one is take home pay. Cost to the company is different, take home pay is different. Cost to the company is what company is incurring on the employee's whole costs of all those things which are related to monetary as well as non-monetary benefits that the company gives to employees, that will cost the company. So definitely that is part of CTC. But take home pay is different. Take home pay means what the employee actually takes home, what comes to his pocket, which is money. That might also have a lot of allowances, other things. It might include overtime wages, it might include bonuses, whatever they are. But take home pay is basically the cash money that employee receives from the employer generally each month. So that is the difference between CTC and take home pay. Lot of times why this is important is people who go for jobs, apply for jobs and look at the CTC that is provided by certain companies, they may be surprised to see a very high CTC, because some companies even include their car parking also as part of the CTC. So we should not get fooled. Employees particularly should not get fooled by CTC only. You should really understand what is the real take home pay. So if that understanding is not there, the HR recruiting agencies and the companies who might recruit you will easily fool you by quoting CTC. They will tell CTC this many lakhs package, like this they will tell. End of the day, how much you get in the pocket, that might be much lower. So this difference between them has to be understood by everybody, because we have a topic related to that, we are knowing it now. So that is about some of the monetary and non-monetary items included in the overall cost to the company. Like this, there might be many of the other things like dearness allowance, which is generally given as a percentage of basic, or sometimes even a fixed amount can be given as dearness allowance. Usually this is given for the purpose of meeting the inflation and additional expenses that the employees might incur because of rise in prices. So the consumer price index usually will be linked to the DA percentages which are fixed. But we are not going to fix any of them, so we don't need to be worried about how DA is fixed. But DA is fixed on the basis of consumer price index. That at least we can know that. And it can be as a percentage also, either, or it can be a fixed amount also, according to the decision, according to the policy of that company. But dearness allowance purpose is what? Basically to meet the additional cost of inflation. That is the allowance given by employer to the employee. That is DA. Like this, overtime allowance can be given. Name itself indicates. And we know that according to Factories Act, compulsory to give overtime if employees work more than 9 hours a day or more than 48 hours a week, then overtime allowance has to be given, and overtime pay should be double the normal pay. which means the overtime premium will be equal to the normal pay. So if an employee gets normally 100 rupees per hour, if he works for the same 1 hour overtime, he will get 200 rupees in that hour. That is as per Factories Act. We already did some problems on that. Like that, some production bonus can be given depending upon the performance or efficiency of the employees, quite possible. So that is there. But of course, there are some other legal obligations also according to the Payment of Bonus Act, that some bonus has to be given to the workers. We don't need to know that unless we have that Payment of Bonus Act in the law syllabus, which is not there anymore. We don't need to know how much bonus should be given and all that. So the legal things we don't need to worry. Basically, that is a common practice for the employers to give some bonus to employees, either on the basis of efficiency or on the basis of legal considerations according to the act, which is relevant for that. Like this, many amounts will be given by employers to employees. Those are all part of component of wages. What about the component of wages cost or wages for costing purposes? Okay, employers keep on giving so many things to employees, but what are all those things to be included for costing purposes? See, costing purpose ultimately has only one question, one thing. Always the dilemma is only one thing, whether it is direct or indirect. Simple. Any cost employer can give to, any cost employer can incur on behalf of employee, that is okay. But the question always remains, is that a direct expenditure to the company or an indirect expenditure? If it is direct expenditure, simply you consider that as part of the cost of production. If not, you charge it to the overheads, like that. So always it is depending upon the nature of the payment, the costing department will decide whether it is a direct cost or an indirect cost. So that is always there. We don't need to specially discuss it once again. Always it will be depending upon actual situation, whether it is related to idle time, whether it is related to overtime, or even whether it is related to the normal wages, also related to a person who is not directly contributing anything to production. All those things should be charged to overheads. So it depends upon the nature of work of the employee, and it depends upon why is that some amount is paid to employee. The treatment will be there in the costing. All the direct expenses will be charged to cost of production, all indirect expenses will be charged to overheads, and abnormal items always will be charged to costing profit and loss account. That's it. That is the essence of treatment of various things within costing. This illustration 12 we have already done, so no need to do it again. And what other things the employer can give? One more thing, like holiday and leave wages. Wages during leave period can be given. Means what? Basically, the employee is not working, he is on leave, but still is getting paid. So that is like leave with pay. So if it is leave with pay, there will be certain cost incurred to the company without any productivity coming out of that time. So what should be done? It can be treated as overheads. That is fine, because there is no actual work that is done. So that is an additional expenditure to the company, but there is no work done for that expenditure. So that is why we can try to consider that as overheads. That is one type of treatment. Another way is to try to inflate the wage rate for costing purposes to include holiday and leave wages. Means like considering that leave also as a normal item. In other words, the cost will include amount which is paid for the time worked and not worked, but denominator includes only the time that is worked. So naturally what happens, the cost per hour will be inflated, and usually this can be done only when naturally with direct workers. For indirect workers we cannot do this, it will be always treated as overheads. So if there is a leave taken by the employee without any production but still he is getting paid, then the effective hourly rate can be inflated. Simple logic. How that can be done? Like, and just look at the example here, a small example, understanding purposes, not an exam question, only for understanding purposes. What is the employee hour rate of a worker X from the following data is asking? Basic 10,000 per month, DA 3,000, fringe benefits 1,000 per month. Fringe benefits means those are in addition to the normal pay, whatever the benefits are given, those all can be simply called as fringe benefits. Sometimes like employers' contribution to the provident fund, employers' contribution to ESI, all those things can be called as fringe benefits. They may also be monetary, non-monetary, but in general, the money benefit directly does not come to employee. It will effectively come to employee, but not in the form of money. So those are all fringe benefits. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. Definitely, these are all costs to the company. That is for sure. And the number of working days in a year is 300, and 20 days are availed as off as holidays on full pay in a year. Assume a day of 8 hours. That's the question. So 20 days are holidays. So effectively, how many days the employee would have worked? Only 280 days, because he would have worked for only the days after excluding the holidays which he has taken on full pay. So effective number of days will be only 280 days, and each day has 8 hours. That means the number of hours effectively he would have worked actually in a year would be 2240. That's it. That is very clear and simple calculation. Then you know the total wages which are paid during a year, because these are all given in per month, but here we are talking about year. Number of hours in the year is 2240. Convert all these monthly to yearly things. Basic becomes 1,20,000, DA becomes 36,000 and 12,000 fringe benefits. Total of salary is 1,68,000. So 1,68,000 divided by 2,240. That gives us an hourly rate of 75 rupees. That is the question. So what we did here? Nothing. As far as cost is concerned, we included the pay which is given to the employee during the leave period. But as far as the number of hours worked is concerned, we have taken actually effective hours which are worked. So denominator we have reduced. When denominator we have reduced, we have inflated the hourly cost. That's what happened here. That is around 75 rupees in this case. So that is about leave and leave salary. Leave with pay, treatment of that can be done like this, right? So that is one of the illustrations about it. Then night shift allowance can be given. That can be treated once again on the basis of why it is done, night shifts. Just like a particular reason should be there for it. If it is part of a regular procedure, then that can be considered as cost of production normally, or it can be treated as overheads also. See, these treatments are all mostly depending upon circumstances. You cannot be rigid in them. You cannot always think that I know this one name means I need to know exactly do like this only. Not like that. All depends upon situation. The treatment in the cost accounts will depend upon situation. That essence is always the same. Essence is only question what we have to ask is, boss, is it direct or indirect? Direct, no problem, charge it to the cost of production. Consider it as part of the employee cost, labor cost. Indirect, no problem, consider it as overheads. Normal, then you inflate it, inflate the hourly rate. Abnormal, charge to costing profit and loss account. How many times we discuss different places, ultimate impact or ultimate calculations will be only like this. So to sum it up, how this rate per hour we have to calculate? We did it already so many cases. Simply we have to take in the numerator all the estimated monetary and non-monetary benefits cost, and in the denominator we have to calculate budgeted direct employee hours minus normal idle time. Normal idle time has to be reduced here, then only the rate per hour will be inflated. That's all. This is general way of calculating rate per hour. That is about rate per hour calculation, which we already did. But as a formula, if you want to know, numerator will have all the costs, including both monetary and non-monetary benefits. Denominator will have direct employee hours which have been worked minus of normal idle time. That is the rate per hour, which will be used for costing purposes. Then how to calculate efficiency? Another question comes. Simply speaking, when a worker takes more time than what is given to him, that is inefficiency. And when the time taken by the worker on the job is equal to or less than the time that is allowed, that is standard time, then we say it is efficient, that worker is efficient. So how to calculate efficiency in percentage? Simply time allowed as per standard divided by time taken into 100. That is efficiency percentage, we can say. Time allowed divided by time taken. If both are equal, worker is 100% efficient. Numerator, denominator same. If imagine the denominator is lesser than numerator, then definitely the efficiency will be more than 100%, because denominator is more, sorry, the numerator is more, the denominator is less. In that case, efficiency will be more than 100%. Time taken is less than time allowed. Means he has saved some time. That shows higher efficiency. Imagine time taken is more than time allowed. Means denominator is more than numerator. In that case, efficiency will be less than 100% because the worker has taken more time than what has been allowed as per standard. So time allowed divided by time taken, we can call that as efficiency. And why this efficiency is useful? Of course, it will be useful for identifying the actual performance of the employees and creating efficiency rating and giving them bonus on the basis of that. Like this, it can be done. But prior to this, what are the steps involved in doing this efficiency evaluation? First, we should know the standard time. Performance standards have to be fixed. How that can be done? That can be done by doing time and motion study or work study techniques. Only names here, we are not going to go into details of them. By actually observing many people, really taking the sample of how much time a worker should take for performing this task. There will be people who will do this study, time and motion study, and accordingly, on an average, they will come out with a standard time, which ideally should be taken by an average worker. That is standard time, which should be fixed first. That can be called as a performance standard. Once you have a standard, you have to measure the actual performance of the workers naturally and compare with these two. If the actual time taken is less than the time that was allowed, the worker is said to be efficient. If the actual time taken is more than the time allowed, then the worker is said to be inefficient. That's what is efficiency rating all about. And what is the need for efficiency rating? Ultimately, to fix some kind of bonuses to the workers, additional payments to the workers, incentives to the workers. But we don't have all of these things in the syllabus. These are all removed now. Only as an example, these are given. So don't even worry about these all things. These are not required for problems purposes. But ultimately, if you calculate efficiency properly, that is useful. Theoretically only we should know that it is useful in fixing some kind of incentives to the workers. Definitely more efficient workers have to be rewarded more. Less efficient workers have to be rewarded less. Sometimes they can be punished also by reducing their wages. So depending upon the efficiency, the worker's money what he takes home should be determined. And again, we have to keep in mind, these are all we're talking about direct workers who are physical laborers. And that efficiency rating also helps the management in preparing employees' budget, definitely yes. And also, most importantly, identifying the manpower requirements, it will tell us. Because if at all we have a particular work to be done by so many number of people, that many people should be available, right? If less number of people are there and you ask them to do more work, then they will get pressurized and sometimes they may spoil the work also. That can be dangerous to them and that can be dangerous to company also. So manpower requirements can be assessed by observing the efficiency of the workers very closely. Very closely that has to be observed. There's some example given, general example. Say there are two products that a company manufactures. Say product A 3480 units it manufactures, product B 4000 units it manufactures. Generally the standard hours allowed for this product are 5 hours for product A and 4 hours for product B. So for manufacturing one unit, it will take 5 hours for product A. For manufacturing one unit, it will take 4 hours for product B. Like this, 3480 units are supposed to be produced, that is budgeted, and 4000 units are supposed to be produced for product B. There you can identify one difference here, budget. Budget is about whatever the overall amount of production that is supposed to be done in a for a particular period, coming year we can say. That is different. How many number of units are supposed to be produced or planned to be produced we can say. Standard hours is different. Standard here is not just about some estimation or imagination. Standard is fixed already by doing a proper time and motion study. So it is a technical thing. So standard is what it should take ideally. So ideally it should take only 5 hours. It is not some budget. It is on the basis of time and motion study. This 5 and 4 hours per each unit of A and B has been arrived at. That is more or less the same. But budgeted production can change from year to year. So the standard here we are talking about is a resultant of time and motion study or work study. That we have to understand. It is not what is budgeted by organization. It is not what is just projected or forecasted by the organization. It is technical number 5 and 4. That is. Now, further, they have identified that the efficiency ratio for productive hours worked by direct workers in actually manufacturing is around 80%. Means what? The number of workers, whatever these people are working on this job, manufacturing product A and B, actually the efficiency is only 80%. If at all 100% they were efficient, they would have taken 5 and 4 hours. But because they are only 80% efficient, they will take more number of hours than 5 and 4, right? They will not take less hours, they will take more hours because they are only 80% efficient. So normally, ideally, how many hours they should have taken is different, they are taking is different. They should have taken how many hours? 3480 into 5, 17,400 hours for product A, and 4,000 into 4, that means 16,000 hours for product B, which means total they should have taken in this year 33,400 hours to manufacture total of product A and B. But understand this now, since the efficiency ratio is only 100%, if not, sorry, not 100%, 80%, it was not 100%, it is 80%. If it was 100%, then 33,400 hours they are supposed to take and they would have taken it also. Now, because they are less efficient, point is, will they take more hours or less hours? They will take more hours, right? So what happens effectively? This calculation will come into picture. So how to calculate the number of hours actually they would have taken will be 33,400, which is standard hours, into 100 by 80. 100 is in the numerator, 80 is in the denominator. Denominator is less, numerator is more. So that will inflate the number of hours actually required here. So 33,400 ideally should have been taken by them, but actually how many hours they would take? 41,750. So if efficiency is given like this, 80% and all, the number of hours actually taken would be more than the number of hours they are supposed to take. If they worked at 100% efficiency, they would have used or they would have worked only 33,400 hours. But because they are working at only 80% efficiency, they would be taking more hours, that is 41,750 hours. And how to obtain that? What are the budgeted hours into 100 divided by percentage of efficiency. Here the percentage of efficiency is 80%, so in the denominator there is 80. So this is a logic that is required, particularly more useful even in the topic of standard costing, or separately also certain formulae based questions can be given on this. But logic is more important to be understood. First of all, if the worker is working at a less than 100% efficiency, he will take more hours than what he is supposed to take. That we should understand. Then it is easy to apply the formula. Budgeted hours or standard hours we can say, multiplied with 100 divided by percentage of efficiency. That is how we can get actual hours which are taken here, right? So here, how to calculate efficiency is different. Time allowed as per standard divided by time taken. So if you observe this, efficiency is already given 80%. Time allowed numerator is already there, that is 33,400 hours. So if you go back to the same formula, efficiency percentage is enough for us to use the same formula for that problem also. Time allowed as per standard is 33,400 hours. Efficiency is 80%. Divided by time taken, we don't know. So time taken, if you take it this side and efficiency you bring it to the other side, then naturally this will be 80 comes to denominator, 100 will be in the numerator. So that is why 100 by 80. Time taken is how much here? That is why 41,750. That is how we can apply the efficiency ratio or efficiency percentage for identifying any of the things which are missing. From actual hours, we can find out standard hours. From standard hours, we can find out actual hours. Here, standard hours are 33,400 hours. Actual hours are 41,750 hours. But another point also to be noted here. Here, we have taken the budgeted production as if it is the actual production also. If actual production is different, then the standard production and budgeted production will not be same. Why? Because if The budgeted production is 3,480 and actual production is, let us say, only 3,000 units of product A. Can we say then also that they are supposed to take 17,400 hours totally? That would be wrong, right? Because 3480 was only a forecast, but really they have manufactured only 3,000 units. So what will become standard hours then? Then it will become 3,000 into 5, not 3,480 into 5. So what is actual production? 3,000 multiplied with 5 hours they are supposed to take for each unit. So 3,000 into 5, 15,000 hours will become standard hours in that case, if actual production is different. So we need to understand these words. They will be useful for standard costing also later. Standard hours is different, budgeted hours is different. What we are looking at here is standard hours required for actual output as compared with actual hours. That difference is what is called efficiency percentage. That's what is given in the formula also. Efficiency percentage, if we want, it is going to be the time allowed divided by time taken. And what is time allowed? Time allowed as per standard and time allowed as per actual production, not according to just budgeted production. Budget can have huge numbers, doesn't matter. Actual production multiplied with the standard hours per unit will give us the time allowed, if these details are different, though it is not there here. But the point to be noted, very important aspect here, which will be useful, more useful in standard costing later also, right? Then another word comes, very frequently used word, that is productivity. What is productivity? Productivity is simply input by output. Input by output, or input output ratio, we can call that. So whatever ratio of productivity, if you want to calculate, it is a reciprocal of that. Output by input means output should be maximized, input should be minimized. Then only productivity will be maximized. So what is going to be the productivity? That can be found out like this. Standard time for doing actual work divided by the actual time that is taken. So here exactly the productivity comes. The standard time taken here is for actual work, not budgeted. Here we never talked about actual because there was only budgeted information given, and we talked about efficiency percentage with that sense of budgeted hours and standard hours being same. Now explain that the standard time required for actual work is what is actually the standard hours. That is what is in the numerator, divided by actual time taken in the denominator. That gives us productivity. So ultimately, whether it is efficiency or productivity, the essence is similar. Essence is what? The actual time taken should be less than the time that is supposed to be taken. That's it. So that is also a measure of efficiency. So you call it efficiency, you call it productivity. Ultimately, the essence is going to be same. The denominator in this case should be less than the numerator. If it is less than the numerator, then the efficiency or productivity is more than 100%. If denominator is more than the numerator, then it is going to be less than 100%. If both are equal, then it is going to be 100%. So that's a very simple mathematical relationship between the numerator and denominator, which can be applied for efficiency also and productivity also. But once again, there should not be any great differentiation between efficiency and productivity. Both are using the same thing. Time allowed as per standard divided by time taken into 100. That was efficiency. And what is productivity here? Standard time for doing actual work divided by time taken. Both are same. But in this example, since budgeted production is given, actual production is not known, we have assumed that budgeted production itself is actual production. But if actual production is given, then we should take numerator in a different way. We should take what? Standard time required for doing the actual work. In this example, earlier as we took say 3,000 units only really produced, and 3,000 into 5, 15,000 will become standard hours required to manufacture product A. Like that we can do for product B also. That becomes numerator. Actual time taken is reality. Numerator is not reality. Numerator is to be worked out. Actual time taken is reality. So that will be observed in the factory, and that will be taken to identify the efficiency or productivity. So simply productivity can be taken as output by input. This is from units point of view. This is from time point of view. The earlier formula was from time point of view. Here, from units point of view, we can take productivity this way also. Output divided by input. So for the same input, if you generate more output, you can say productivity is more. Or for the same output, if you took less input, then also you can say productivity is more. So simply output divided by input can be called as productivity for all practical purposes. But we are not going to do any problems on these things. These are only conceptual things that we should understand. What is efficiency, what is productivity, and what are the types of monetary and non-monetary benefits that people might get, and how to calculate rate per hour, which we already know. So these are all mostly the theoretical and conceptual aspects, which are important to be back of the mind, no doubt. But as far as problems are concerned, related to efficiency and all, particularly we do them in the standard costing than in the labor. But productivity is a theoretical aspect. How to improve the employer productivity can be a theory question once again. Like what? Many practical suggestions can be given. These are all 5 points given, means practically possible to be asked as a 5 marks question. How to improve or how to increase the employee productivity, theory question. These are the points. One, employ only those people who have the right type of skill. If you employ a over-skilled person, he will not be happy with the job which is uh, lower job for him in his mind. Or if you employ a person who is less skilled for a job, then he'll be depressed always because he is not able to meet up the standard. He is not able to live up to the standard that is required. Either way, it is dangerous. So always you have to employ the workers who possess the right skill for doing a job. A lot of companies actually fail by not employing people, right people for the right job. That is important. So right person for a right job, same thing actually, first and second points. So right person should be in the right job. Training the young and old workers should be always there. So training is an important aspect to improve the employee productivity. That is always part of it. And also taking appropriate measures to avoid the situation of excess or shortage of employees. Excess should not be there. Shortage also should not be there. Such care has to be taken. HR will take care of all this. You don't need to worry. For us, it is only a theory question, nothing more than that. And also carrying out work study for fixing the wages and simplification and standardization of work. Work studies and motion studies, time studies are very important. Once again, we don't do them. Those are all technical things. For a particular job, how much time a particular person should take, and what is the movement of materials and other things within the organization will be studied by technical group of consultants generally, and they will come out with, for a particular job, how much wages can be fixed, and how the work can be simplified or standardized. Those are all part of work and work study, time study, and motion study, we can call them. Now moving on to another, this one is an important aspect from even problems point of view, that is employee turnover or labor turnover. See, what is employee turnover or labor turnover? Is the rate of change in the composition of the employee force during a specified period of time. That's it. So the rate of change in the composition of employee force during a specified period of time. So employees always in the organizations come in and go out. There will be always new people who will come in, and there will be existing people who leave the organization for whatever reasons. Reasons could be anything. But with what rate the employees are coming in and going out, what is the rate of that flow is measured by labor turnover or employee turnover. Then that will be compared with the industry standard. For generally particular type of industries, there will be a kind of standard index, and that can be taken as a benchmark. If, for example, a particular company is having a very high labor turnover compared with the industry standard, then something is wrong with the HR policy. So they have to look at why the labor turnover is too high compared to industry standard. If it is around the industry standard, no problem, that is okay. If it is much below the industry standard, also is not good actually. Why? Because that means people are not coming and going out. All people who have come to the organization have settled there only. 20, 30 years they work in the same organization. And by the way, we are not talking about government organizations. They don't follow any of these scientific things. So they are outside the scope of all these discussions. So we're talking about private industry only. So when we talk about that, people just come and work for some years and go normally. If they're sticking there for a long period of time, something is wrong with them also, or something is wrong with the organization also, that it is making and keeping the people stick to it only for a longer period of time, and they may turn out to be complacent, and they may be not as effective and as efficient as they were earlier. As the time passes by, people get more comfortable with an organization and they may not be really productive. That is also not good. I'm not telling that companies should remove all the employees every year, not like that. But too much of still water stinks. There should be a little bit of flow. New people should come in, existing people should go out. There should be some movement. So simply labor turnover is that movement of people coming into the organization and going out of the organization. That is what is labor turnover. And there are various methods to calculate labor turnover. These are formulae useful for us in the problem solving. Three methods are there broadly. One is called replacement method. Second one is called separation method. And the third one is called flux method, which is a combination of both. So what is the formula? You have to remember them. So to remember, always it's better to write them on paper number of times. So replacement method means what? Number of employees replaced during the period divided by average number of employees during the period on roll multiplied with 100. So on an average, how many employees are there during the period? On roll means on the payroll. How to get the average number of employees? Not a big deal. Opening and closing divided by 2. Same way. Means how many number of employees are there in the beginning of the year? Let us say year. How many employees are there at the end of the year? So opening number of employees plus closing number of employees divided by 2, we get average. That means we got our denominator. And denominator is what? In this year actually how many employees are replaced? So here how many employees are replaced will be in the numerator. However, point to be noted important. New employees appointed on account of expansion plans are not included here in the replacement. Replacement means what? The name itself indicates there should be one person going out and one person coming in. That is replacement. Not some new person who is coming in only because the company has grown or company has an expansion plan. That also will be there normally, but that is not included here is a point. In the replacement method, we don't include that. We are not telling that there will not be any people who are only freshly joining without replacing anybody. There will be people like that. That is not what is included here. So here what we take is only the people who are replaced. It means people who have gone out and people who have come in their place. That is what is number of replacements during the period. That is in the numerator. That is a fact. Should be given in the question. Divided by average number of employees during the period. Multiply with 100. That is the labor turnover calculation by using replacement method. That is one method. Not that it is super and it is the only method. It is one of the methods. That's all. Like this, another type of method can also be used. Separation method, that is called. Here, separated means who left the organization. That's all. We don't consider about replacement and all. Here, in this case, we will take only the number of employees who separated, means who left the organization. Divided by denominator is same. Average number of employees during the period on roll. Denominator is same. Numerator is what? Instead of replacements, here we take separations. Separation itself means people who have left the organization, whatever the reason may be. There may be or may not be a replacement, we don't care. So in case of replacements, definitely there is one guy going out, one guy coming in. So there also we gave importance to the guy coming in only, not going out. There should be a replacement. Then only that goes into the numerator under replacement method. But in separation method, we don't care about whether that person is replaced or not, or we don't even care about why that person has left the organization. Those things are all separate things. As far as calculation is concerned, the number of employees separated during the period divided by the average of number of employees for that period into 100 will give us labor turnover using separation method. That is one method. Replacement method is another method. Then combine both of them, both replacements and separations. If we mix both of them, that is called as flux method. So what will be there here? Here number of employees separated also will be there, plus number of employees replaced during the period also will be there. That is in the numerator, divided by average number of employees in the denominator, multiplied with 100. In other words, mathematically speaking, replacement method labor turnover plus separation method labor turnover should be equal to flux method labor turnover, because numerator is just getting added here with the same denominator. So denominator is same, that is average number of employees. Numerator is what? Number of employees separated plus number of replacements divided by average number of employees multiplied with 100 will give us labor turnover under flux method. All three are different formulae. We have to apply these formulae according to the information that is given in the questions. That's all. But now a question comes, what about this new recruitments? There will be always possibility that on account of expansion, when we recruit new people, what should we do with that? Usually, they are not considered for consideration of for calculation of employee turnover. Usually, no. So whenever there is a new recruitment is not replacement. Understand that. New recruitment is happening because of expansion plans of the organization, not happening because once somebody has left and that person is replaced. If it was the case, that was called replacement, and that is included in labor turnover already. But if there is only a fresh recruitment without anybody going out in that place, that is new recruitment or fresh recruitment. So in general, we don't consider it here, either in the replacement method. Of course, separation method has nothing to do with that, because separation method is about people going out. Replacement method is about people coming in. Flux method is about both kind of people. So that is why we don't consider new recruitment generally. Generally, we don't consider. But particularly if it is asked to be included, because there is nothing wrong in considering it also. Some people feel that it is better to take new recruitment also for calculation of employee turnover. Yes, but if nothing is given, we don't consider it. If it is clearly asked to consider that also, then yes, we will consider it. Then how it will become? Number of separations plus number of replacements plus number of new joinings also will be taken in the numerator. So addition has happened here to the flux method naturally. Divided is same, that is divided by average number of employees into 100. That will be done only when asked. Under flux method, if it is clearly asked in the question, then we will include the number of new joinings also. Otherwise, we don't include the number of new joinings. Only here we include the number of new joinings. Otherwise, normally the flux method is about number of separations plus number of recruitments or replacements, we can say. Or if you add these two things, number of replacements and number of new joinings, only these two things if you add, what we can call that? We can call that as number of accessions. Accessions means who are coming in. Simply coming in, why we don't care. Normally in case of replacements, why people are coming in? Because somebody has gone out. But here, if you add both of them, we don't care why they are coming in. All are included. Whoever is coming in, they are included here. That is what we can call as number of accessions. So number of separations plus number of accessions divided by average number of employees during the period is also another way of calculating labor turnover. Once again, I am repeating, only if it is asked like that. Otherwise, we should not consider new joinings. Accession means who come in. Separations means who go out. This is a simple and straightforward, practically more useful formula. This is the final formula, we can say, related to computation of labor turnover, but that is more practically useful. For problems, examination purposes, we need to be doing it by using replacement method, separation method, and flux method. Normally, these three methods are used. Exceptionally, if it is asked, then only we use this formula of number of separations plus the number of accessions divided by average number of employees during the period into 100. Then how to calculate average number of employees? Everybody knows that. What is the big deal? That is number of employees in the beginning plus number of employees at the end of the period divided by 2. That's it. Okay. That is a point here. And another calculation can be there just like that. Just like that. Usually, what is the equivalent labor turnover rate? Means on an average, in how many days people are coming in or going out, how quickly they are coming in and going out. Labor turnover is just giving us some percentage, but how quickly they are coming in and going out can be calculated by using this formula, that is employee turnover rate for the period that we already calculated divided by number of days in that period into 365. Annualized that we can say. Whatever this period it may be. For example, in a 6 months period, if employee turnover is this much, how much will it be for a full year? Like that. So number of days in that period in the denominator, employee turnover in the numerator, multiply with 365. Sir, what if we are calculating employee turnover for a year only? Then we don't need to do this. Doesn't make sense. 365 divided by 365. Employee turnover is employee turnover. So this is called annualizing the labor turnover. Anything can be annualized. If we are taking a month, for example, labor turnover comes out to be, say, 2%. Annualized, how much it is? That will be, if you take approximately around 24%. So 2 into 365 divided by 30, let us say. Like that, approximately 24% will be the annualized labor turnover. So the point is the denominator period, if it is a year, we don't need this formula. If it is not a year, then we can annualize, express the labor turnover in an annualized format like this. Whatever the labor turnover is divided by number of days in that period multiplied with 365. These are the various aspects related to labor turnover. You need to be very thorough with these formulae very much, and the application of labor turnover can be very much asked as problems also like this, just for understanding how the labor turnover can be used for problem solving. We'll do that later, but before that you should know the formula for labor turnover, and in general you can even go through these things also. There is no need to specially explain about them, though they are very important for theoretical questions. A lot of times these are asked. What are the general causes of labor turnover? There could be some personal causes, or there could be some unavoidable causes. Sometimes there could be some avoidable causes. These are general things, self-explanatory. Go through them. What kind of causes? At least you should be able to write somewhere between 5 to 10 causes for labor turnover. What are the general causes of labor turnover is an important theory question, but there is nothing technical about it. So since it is self-explanatory, you can go through all these types of causes, unavoidable causes, personal causes, and sometimes there can be avoidable causes also. So go through these things, and also look at the formulae of labor turnover, write them number of times, and also remember them. Then we can continue to solve the problems also related to labor turnover and impacts of labor turnover in the next session. With that, almost we can say this labor chapter can be concluded. Because on a broader basis, if you once again remember, 3 categories of questions can be asked here, excluding theory questions. Theory is always possibility. Other than that, normally the questions can be on the 3 categories. One is computation of labor cost, including overtime, idle time, etc., and treatment of them in the cost accounts. Second is wholesale 1. Third is labor turnover. That's all. Any one of them can be asked. So very important area definitely is the middle one. Labor turnover also was asked earlier for 5 marks many times. Don't underestimate the others. All types of questions we should be able to solve, and we should be ready to solve. But we should also have an idea that this one topic is more important than other. That's all. That does not mean others are not important. Don't take wrong notions from that. Definitely all types of questions are possible. Which will come in the exam is not to be predicted by us or speculated by us. That is none of our business. Our job is to get ready for any type of question that might appear in the examination. For that purpose, we need to solve more questions and definitely practice more questions, which we will do eventually, right? With that, we'll conclude this session and see you on another session. Till that time, thank you very much. Bye-bye.